Darius Gaiden was released in 1996 for both the SEGA Saturn and the original PlayStation. However, only the Saturn version made its way to North America, and to be perfectly honest, it's the better version to play. It features less slowdown and overall looks a lot sharper. The fact that it was the only port available in North America sure didn't hurt either. The game used to cost under $5 on eBay, but like all things Saturn, its price has skyrocketed in recent years, which is a real shame as this is a fantastic shooter on the Saturn and one of only a handful available on the North American platform. Darius is a series where you take on the role of the Silverhawk on its never-ending mission to rid the universe from evil aquatic robot alien creatures of doom. It's always been like this, where your enemies, and in particular bosses, are all aquatic robot life forms. You can expect any number of fish, starfish, seahorses, octopuses, and much, much more. The gameplay is incredibly simplistic. You have two buttons, your primary shot and bombs. Bombs clear the screen of all enemies and incoming bullets, while your standard shot can be powered up to the point where it will take out virtually every enemy on contact. To spice things up, you also have access to an upgradable shield, which can withstand a few enemy bullets, and missiles which can be powered up into powerful homing missiles. And that's pretty much all she wrote for the gameplay. Darius's unique feature has always been in its wide assortment of unique levels. You see, you start off on stage A, and once you beat the big bad boss at the end, you can then select between stages B or C. And that continues on until you reach the 7th and final stage. In total, there are 28 stages in the game, but regardless of how you play, you'll only ever play 7 stages at a time. This is where the game's incredible replay value comes from, as you can replay the game over and over again until you experience all 28 stages, and I really like that. I've always loved that aspect about the Darius series, and some of the stages are about as long as your typical shooter stages. In other words, where, you have a beginning, sort of a middle-ish area. I don't want to say that there's mini bosses, but you may have just different challenges and then finally a big boss at the end, all the way to stages that are pretty much just a giant boss fight. And there's so much variety here that fans of the genre will surely find a path of 7 stages that they really enjoy as they make their way to the credits. Darius Gaiden is actually the 3rd main entry in the series, and it was the first time where I saw this series and said, wow, this looks awesome. This port in particular is fantastic. It's fast, crisp, and sharp. It's one of those games where every single frame is popping with color. There are also a wide array of special effects taking place at any given time, and the black hole super bomb is absolutely awesome when you see it for the first time. Not only does it suck in smaller enemies, but it shoots out electricity against larger boss characters, which is just so cool to see. The most impressive aspect of Darius Gaiden has to be the fact that it runs so damn smoothly. Yeah, there's a little bit of slowdown here and there, but overall it's shocking to see how little slowdown there really is. It is a blisteringly fast shooter. Zuntata did the music here, just like in the previous 2 Darius games, and while I don't find this particular soundtrack to be their best work, it's certainly good. These guys make some fantastic shooter themes, but I found a few of the tracks in the soundtrack to be a little bit too similar for my liking. That said, the piano themes are amazing, and the main theme for the game is fantastic. One thing to note for new shooter fans is that this is a very tough game. It almost relies on the screen clearing bomb in order to progress. You can get the upper hand if you can manage to completely power up your craft, but failure to do so will make this particular game punishingly difficult. There's also so much stuff on the screen to dodge, plus kamikaze enemies and environmental hazards that you really have to be on your toes as you play this one. Overall, Darius Gaiden is certainly one to add to your SEGA Saturn collection. I do wish it felt a bit more balanced, but with enough practice, I'm sure you'll make it to the credits in not too long. While I would love to say that this game is super affordable, sadly it isn't. As with all good SEGA Saturn games released in North America, the price of this one has jumped up 10 times what it used to be only about maybe 5 or 6 years ago. As such, it's really hard to say if it's worth, say, $50 or $60, only because there are so many other games in that price range that are available on the Saturn. So what I'll say is this: if you can find it for a good price, snatch it up before it becomes another one of those games that are fetching over $100 in the aftermarket.